Hey everybody, what is going on? Toby Salgado here. I hope you're having a great day wherever you are in the world. Today's episode, well, hold on a second. Listen, I always start this way. If you are new, welcome to the show. And if you don't know what we do, we talk with top producing real estate agents. This show is about entrepreneurship through the lens of a real estate agent. And the tips and tricks and strategies that we talk about here will work in any industry. Well, I don't care what you're doing. The stuff we talk about here is about building your business bigger, faster, better. I don't want you to miss out on future episodes. What I would love you to do, go to the website, superagentslive.com, download my free book called How to Sell. It's about 52 pages, and sign up for a free membership plan. There's some really great stuff that you can use to plan out your year. And this is the first week of 2015, and I hope you're off to a very strong start. Now, today's guest, man, I want to talk to you about something. I listened to this briefly. I listened to I did this months and months ago, and I listened to about the first 17, 18 minutes. The audio for the first 4 minutes is terrible. It's really, really low. And I'm looking at my sheet right now, and it looks like about 4 minutes in, it looks like I normalized the levels to some degree, but it's still not great. Now, I'm not sure exactly what settings I had my stuff on back then. But so again, it's an older one. So if the audio is not great, just come on, guys, just struggle through it. Okay, here's what we talk about. Today's guest, what I find out, he's doing about 150 transactions. What I find out is, unlike many of my guests who come on and they have, Boomtown accounts, or, they're doing Google pay-per-click, or, which is actual, direct response marketing, whatever. That's actually marketing, right? And I've had a handful of guests on that can do about 100 deals, because I think that's about the limit of, they can do 100 deals, but it's just very, very traditional. It's this guy doesn't have a niche. We always hear on the show, go and have a niche. This guy sells everything from like lots to farms, even commercial stuff. So he doesn't have a niche. And we talk about, what I bring up to him, I say, hey, listen, if you don't have a niche and you're all over the place, how do you get your message across as to who you are and what you do? And, so we talk a little bit about, crafting that message market fit, which I think could be helpful to some of you guys. We talk about how he gets brand recognition and credibility in the marketplace. And again, from very standard stuff. This guy does the old giveaway a pumpkin on Halloween and tomato plant giveaways in March. And it seems, and by the way, this guy's in Texas, so I don't know if those things would work he's in Austin, Texas, right? So, would those sorts of things work in San Diego, for example, where I am? I don't know. Would they work in San Francisco? Probably not. But it's working for him. So, hopefully, some people are out there going, "Hey, listen, Toby, I don't have a big marketing budget, and but I can do the old basic, door knock or call people or meet people and give them a pumpkin every now and again." So hopefully this helps somebody out there and, kick off their year 2015 in the right way. Now, we always have a sponsor. You know that I've not been taking sponsors and just sponsoring this show ourselves. realestateradioexperts.com is our radio advertising arm. And, if you were out there doing 40, 50, 60, 80 deals, and you want to bump it up, radio advertising is craziness. It really is. I mean, it's good for another 100 deals, and it's not as expensive as you think. So if you're interested in radio, and a lot of people are, if you're interested, send me an email. Let's chat, and let's see if you're a candidate for what we are looking for and if it'll work for you. And as usual, I don't know, I haven't said this in a while, but a friend of the show is Bob Corcoran and Corcoran Coaching. And if you're out there, if you're doing at least 20 transactions, and again, you want to level up for 2015, I've talked Bob into doing a couple things. One, his organization will give you a free coaching call. He'll talk with you, give you some strategies on what you can do to better your business. And again, please only take advantage of that. I had to like finesse him to do that. Just make sure that you're selling real estate full time and you're doing about 20 transactions. And go ahead, and send an email to Bubba at Corcoran Coaching, and Bubba will get on a phone call with you. All right, that's it. Hey, let's get to it. Welcome to Super Agents Live. This is the one place where you can come and hear the most successful people in real estate. You'll hear how these super agents built their businesses, how they stay productive, and how they stay motivated. Who am I? My name's Toby Salgado, and I made my first $1 million in real estate. And I'm your host for the next 30 minutes while we talk to yet another amazing real estate entrepreneur. Stay tuned.
Let's go! Yeah!
Hey, Shane. Thanks for taking the time out today. Now, I've given the audience a brief overview of your background, but maybe take a minute, tell us a little bit about yourself and your business.
Yeah, great. And thanks for having me on the call.
Of course.
So my name is Shane White, and I own a RE/MAX brokerage in Liberty Hill, Texas, which is about 30 miles northwest of Austin, Texas. So we're a rural community now, but the growth of Austin is definitely coming out our direction. I've been in the business about 14 and a half years. Prior to that, I was actually a building superintendent for a couple of builders in the Houston market. So I do have some new construction background with building homes. And so we bring that kind of to the table. I'm working with builders, and we've done a lot of work with builder developers. And our market really is residential, but we do sell farm and ranch, some commercial transactions, and residential lots.
Huh. So you, in terms of what you play with a little bit of everything, right? I mean, you're working with builders, you're doing residential, you're doing farms and lots, and why is that? I mean, most people come on the show and they say, hey, you have to have a niche. Why have you not niched down?
Well, up until recently, where our market has really begun to take off and grow, where there's tons of residential transactions, you've had to do that because my office is located right in Liberty Hill. We service some of the small towns right around us, but there again, in order to do the number of transactions and the business that we wanted to do, you did have to kind of venture out and we're located right in the center of town, so we may have a seller walk in that's what they have is a farm and ranch, or they may have a small commercial piece of property on the highway. And so you just have to be available and able to really reach out and help any one of those clients that walk into our door. And what we found is what we really specialize in is selling the rural properties, although it be all those types. We don't do a lot of I've probably never sold a condo. We don't do townhomes. We don't sell downtown, central Austin market. And so where we think our specialization really lies is in the fact that we understand rural property. So if you have a house on half an acre, or you have a house on 5 acres, or you have, a 25-acre, mini ranch, we understand that market and the intricacies and what it takes to get those marketed and sold correctly. So.
Got it. Okay. And your levels are not great. I got to fix those. So no, I understand that. I mean, I understand, if somebody walks in and they have, whatever they have, you want to service them. But in terms of, going from residential and new construction to, selling a lot or a farm, it seems like your marketing message, if you kind of do everything, it's hard to come up with a message that resonates with the community. What are your thoughts on that?
Well, again, I would go back and tell you, where we really try to get our message out to, especially the sellers that we work with, is that we understand rural properties or properties located outside of the central Austin market. And so, again, whether you're on a half-acre lot with your house, or if you're in one of our 5-acre lot communities, gated communities, or if you have a 10-acre piece of property that you're wanting to sell, we understand what it takes and how to market to people that don't necessarily want to be in a typical neighborhood in town. There are people that just want to be out in more of a rural type setting. Some people don't want a huge amount of land to take care of, so a half acre to a 1 acre lot is sufficient, and some people want to have 10 acres. So what we have found is the marketing that we do, how we have our website set up, is really targeted to reach buyers that are looking to live in our area, geographic area, more so than it is just to specifically say, we're going to specialize in only residential properties from 200,000 to 600,000. And it's actually worked out well. I mean, we have a fairly large market share in the Liberty Hill area, and we always have. And so, we actually find that buyers will go on and actually use our website as a tool, even if they're working with an agent, say that office is down in Austin. They will use our website as a tool because it has so much information, and it's just, again, targeted for those types of properties. So we'll get leads, and when we follow up with those leads, many times they already have an agent that they're working with. So we do find that the marketing that we do, because we specialize in this area, is effective for our sellers in order to get those properties sold.
Okay, so that's okay. So that's interesting as well. So first of all, you said that your marketing and your website is caters to buyers. Is that what you're after? Because most people want to be on the listing side of things. Are you sort of opposite, that you really you have this very information heavy website that you're targeting buyers instead of sellers?
So our main flagship website is probably 70% targeted to buyers.
Interesting.
To generate buyer leads. Now, my business is about 50-50.
Okay.
So out of the 120 or so transactions that we did last year, I think probably 65 to 68 of those were sellers, and the other were buyers. So it's normally a 55-45 or 50-50, pretty even. But the website, as we sat down to create that, because we have such a large listing inventory, the goal originally when we set the website up was to create high-quality buyer leads. Now, we are in the process of adding more and more seller-related items to the website. We actually have a separate seller website that is just really set up to look for listings, and we're currently putting more things on the website for sellers to be able to get information, things to look for in marketing your home and those sorts of things. But for the past 7 or 8 years, as we have developed the website, it has been more targeted towards generating buyers.
Got it.
Now we do a lot of other marketing to generate listing leads, obviously, but and the reason why probably in the last 6 to 12 months we're starting to focus on trying to make our website cater to both buyers and sellers is because there are many more people that are going online looking for agents, even to list their homes, not necessarily just to purchase. But we do a lot of other marketing, direct mail marketing, and a lot of our business is repeat and referral, as I'm sure a lot of the top agents are.
Yeah.
So we do a lot of things like that to generate the listing side of our business in order to generate the buyer leads.
Okay. I'm curious as to what you have these two sites, one's sort of catered towards buyers, one's sort of catered towards sellers. I'm curious as to what those differences are. But what's your take on this? I mean, to kind of create a closed loop, right? Meaning that you are the marketplace. What I've been told before is, for every one listing that you have, you really want to have about 10, in your funnel. For one listing, you want to have 10 buyers in your funnel in order to kind of create a closed loop and, you really be the marketplace.
Yeah, I would say those numbers are really probably very close to what we're trying to do. And so as our market has changed over the last 2 years, the number of listings that we currently hold versus what we had 2 or 3 years ago has been dramatically decreased as the market has changed. And that has obviously affected the number of buyer leads that we can generate, that we can put into that funnel. But I think for every listing that you have, with the conversion rates that you have and the time that it takes to actually get some of these buyers to purchase, because many times, especially a buyer that you create from an online source, that many times they're months and months out from actually purchasing.
Sometimes years.
And so, yeah, sometimes years. So it is important to be able to generate those leads and cultivate them over the next 6, 12, 18 months in order to stay in front of them so that you can be the agent that they choose when the time comes.
Right.
So like right now, our listing inventory is sitting at about, and this is across the board residential lots, but we're probably sitting at about 38, 39 total listings. Back in 2007, 2008, we probably ran 80 or 90 listings. So there's definitely a difference in the amount of leads that we can generate, but that's also why we're looking at other options right now. I mean, we're doing some marketing and actually pretty successfully with Zillow right now in some new communities that we're trying to move into. And so we look for other sources, and we test those sources very, very closely. As the market changed and we all just about all lost our shirts, as we have added marketing back into our mix, we do it very, very carefully. We don't spend a lot of money without really testing it.
Yeah.
Because it's, back in the heyday, as most agents that were pretty successful, we threw money at everything, and we just assumed it all worked because the market was so good. Come to find out when the market slowed down, then, half of that or 70% of that stuff was just to make us feel good. So.
Right. I mean, there's a lot of people during that time frame who, they felt like they were rock stars and found out they were completely the opposite once the market started to go backwards. So that's interesting. So in terms of lead generation, you'll do web leads, right? And I want to know about what you're doing on Zillow, and then you'll also do direct response. You'll do direct marketing. Now, obviously, web leads, the gestation, the sales cycle is much, much longer as opposed to direct mail. How do you, for you, in terms of marketing, how do you determine where to deploy your money, right? In terms of, these long-term web leads and shorter-term, direct mail stuff.
Right. So we've done in my core, what I will tell you is our core market. So Liberty Hill specifically in that school district. We have done direct mail marketing consistently for 15, 20 years. I mean, even when my father-in-law owned the brokerage before, we do a newsletter that goes out about once a quarter that we now send it EDDM because of the cost savings, but we will send it to the entire school district, and we do advertise our listings, but it has some things in it that are what we call shelf life. I mean, people hang on to it because we have a recipe in it, and tips and tricks. We're getting ready to write one now that will be, things to do to get your house ready for winter, and because we're in the fall season, and so that has been very successful locally. We have looked to move into a couple of new markets this year, so we've gone back to more of a direct mail postcard campaign, and I'm not one to want to reinvent the wheel, so we've copied some things from some other top agents and have been fairly successful. Actually, in one market, within 2 postcards, we had a listing, which I was super surprised to be able to get, because what I've always heard and what we've always seen over the years is that it normally takes 6 to 7 to 8 times to really have that market presence to get a response.
Yeah.
And so that has been fairly successful. Now, I will tell you, going into a brand new market, that is very expensive to do because you do have to be committed to the long term until you start to get those results. Now, once the results start coming in, then you can back off the frequency of those mailings and the effectiveness goes up. But it does take some time for a brand new marketing campaign to actually work.
Right.
And then, some other things that we do, we're very active in our community. With it being a small community, we're very active in the school district and the schools. So we try to do things that give us really good brand recognition in the marketplace, just so people know we're there and that we're active. And so some of those things you can't actually track how much business it brings in, but we know we get listings because, we supported the PTA or PTO program and help them we've done pumpkin giveaways at Halloween before.
Sure.
We purchased the pumpkins, and PTO gets to take donations for them, and it costs me however much it costs the pumpkins, and we get all the free publicity, and we're in the newspaper and things like that. So,
see, that's amazing, man. Not to cut you off, Shane, but I just like that. First of all, you're not doing the stuff you're doing. And by the way, so you're doing the same stuff that you were 15, 20 years ago. How long? You've only been in the industry, this industry, 14 years. You said at the outset. It doesn't sound like you guys are doing anything tricky at all. I mean, it's like, this is the old stuff. It's recipes and pumpkins and, tomato plant giveaways. Look, let me ask you this. I actually want to get your opinion on this. This is something, I coach a few people. I only take on 4 clients, but I coach a few people, and we're playing with this model. And again, I want to get your take. So if you look at NAR, right? NAR came out and said, and did, here's the stats, right? 31% of this is just home action, right? Both buyers and sellers. 31% was millennials, 30% Gen Xers, 30% boomers. Now, if you look at those 3 generations, right, all 3 of those groups are going to respond to a different kind of marketing and message, right? So the boomers may respond to your newsletter that's got tips on how to winterize, whereas excuse me. Whereas Gen Xers, they may not respond to that. They may be more responsive to getting an email, right? Like a video and within an email. And then the millennials, they may just not respond to anything except if you actually lob a call in. Have you ever tried playing with all, going, okay, we're going to pick this area, we're going to mail it, we're going to email it. For whoever emails we have, and then we're going to call into it to kind of like, again, communicate with those different segments in the way that they would naturally communicate?
So we haven't, as far as direct marketing to new areas, we have not looked at that. Now, we do try to give them options if they want to contact us back. So, for instance, most of the mailings that are going out to generate listing leads in these new areas, we have a website that they can go to download our free seller book that gives them all kinds of advice. Obviously, it has a call to action to call us if they want, to visit with us about selling. And then it obviously has all of our contact information with email addresses and things like that. Now, have we gone out and purposefully gone out after those people in those manners? We have not, although that makes perfect sense.
Yeah.
Now, once we start working with clients, we do ask them the question, how do you like to be communicated with? Because to me, me personally, I'm not really going to want to talk on the phone. If you can shoot me a quick email, because I'm on email all day, that's perfect. You just give me the update via email, and if I've got a question, I'll email you back, or I'll call you if I think we need to talk. So we do try to ask those questions because I think it is very important. I mean, we're in a relationship-building business.
Right.
To go back and say, we're still doing all this old-time stuff and, pumpkins and all that, well, that's about building relationships versus I'm going to do one marketing plea to get one lead and then that goes away. I mean, our business has always been built on, giving excellent service to our customers so that they will do repeat business with us and refer us. And you can only do that by building that relationship. And part of that has to do with how do you want to be communicated with.
Yep.
I mean, if you're my parents' age, you're going to want phone calls. I mean, that's just the way it is. And if you're the millennial, then it might be just a quick text message.
Yep.
I mean, they don't do email. I mean, I've got a high school daughter and a junior high daughter. They have email, but God forbid they'd ever check it. I mean, we get the cell phone bill and they blow us away in text messaging. So, that's just how they communicate. So it is important to understand that.
Yeah, for sure. And listen, with me, I did not mean to be disparaging at all when I said, hey, you're doing old stuff. That was not, so don't take it that way, please.
No. And I'm not taking it that way. It still works. So,
yeah, for sure. And I'll tell you,
I told you, we went through an exercise. So I bought the Remax franchise from my father-in-law in August of 2003. And one of the things we did is we did not change any marketing that he was currently doing for 1 year. We tracked every single lead, every single piece of business, and we've done that since that time. And to me, I think the most important thing is to know what works and doesn't work. At that point in time, an example I always give when I talk to people is, we did one of the real estate books or, one of those things. generated lots of leads. So on paper, it looked like, man, it's well worth the $400, $500 a month that we're spending. Well, at the end of the year, we had closed 0 transactions from that. So it told me, well, yeah, it generates a lot of business that we're chasing that we can never convert and never close.
Right.
Versus if we took that $400 and spent it on a pumpkin giveaway with the school or a client event or beefing up our website or all the other things that we started to realize actually were bringing our business in, it just made more sense. So if the old-time stuff works, we're going to keep doing it.
Right. If it ain't broke, why fix it? No, and I'll tell you,
Absolutely.
so that thing earlier, so we with one of my coaching people, we were testing that. We picked a little farm, right? It's got about 800 houses in it, and we sent out a newsletter. Well, it was not. I'm sorry, it wasn't a newsletter. We sent out a postcard, and just a picture was the my guy and his family. Well, first we called it. Then we emailed it, and we used Get Viral Marketing. Frank Klesitz, I don't know if you know Frank, at Get Viral. And then we dropped. We're playing with the rotation of this, and then we dropped the postcard. Here's the deal. We got amazing results. Literally, the first week after the postcard went out. Well, again, this is like the third piece in this campaign. He got 3 listings. And then the next week he got another 2, and I can't remember if he got any more, but we were like just going unbelievable. And obviously you're not going to get those if you just drop a postcard once a quarter or a newsletter. You're not going to get those results at all. You really have to. I think is stuff in campaigns. So here's a question for you, Shane. So when you got the franchise, you didn't change any of the marketing. You watched it, right, and then you tracked it to see what's working, what's not working. You said earlier that you test everything. Talk to us a little bit about some of the things you've tried, and how do you run through those tests? I think people would be curious about how you actually mechanically do that.
Yeah, so an example this year is Zillow. You mentioned earlier you might want to know a little bit more about that. So, they're always we get calls from Zillow, Trulia, all these things. Email, this is the next best thing. I'm very skeptical. I understand that they're there to make money and sell leads and Realtor.com and all that sort of thing. But I had heard from one of the guys that's in my mastermind group that he had an agent in his office that was doing very well with Zillow. Well, this year we ended up moving into a new town, and I wanted to start trying to get market share in those areas. And I thought, well, I will try Zillow because it was relatively inexpensive to test the market, and I could get 100% market share where I'm showing up as one of the premier agents for every listing that somebody could find. Mm-hmm. Now, I made the commitment when we talked to our team and looked at our budget and everything else, we made the commitment that we would do it at a minimum of 6 months.
Yeah. If
we didn't get a lead, we would still do it for a minimum of 6 months because I just don't think you can do it for a month and call it quits.
Right.
And so we are now probably 4 months into it. We just closed our first transaction last week. We have 2 other buyers currently under contract, and we have at least 3 other really good buyer prospects. Ones that are actually out looking at properties. Now, we've shown a few houses, and once we get them qualified with lenders, they haven't been super great. But for the minimal expense that I have in those small markets, the response has been really, really good. So, I would tell you as you test things, you need to know up front, you have to give it time, number one. I would definitely say you've got to set your budget and say, we're going to spend this. If it seems to work, then we may look at expanding if the return on the investment is there. And if it's marginal, then maybe you give it another 3 months and test it and see, because you're also going to go through the seasonalities of our marketplace.
Right.
I've been able to go through the summer with it. Well, I don't know until I test another 2 or 3 or 4 months as we get into the slower part of the year. It may not be as successful, so we'll have to test that. But we look at things that way. I'm not going to do a super, super long-term commitment. Because I don't want to be tied to it for 12 months or 18 or 2 years. Yeah. Because we do track it, and if it's not going to work, I want to be able to cut it off quickly. As the market slowed down for us in our area was like 2008-ish into 2009, I could not cut expenses fast enough. The market changed so fast, we could not cut stuff quick enough. And it was interesting, again, to go back and say, well, we were spending money on that, and we really weren't paying attention to the true returns. We might get a closing or two closings, but, was I getting 4 or 5 times return the investment or 6 times returns? That's how we look at it now. I look at Zillow and I say on a monthly basis, if I'm spending, $200 a month, then I want to eventually have that be $1,000, $1,200, $1,400 a month in return. And if I'm not going to get those sorts of returns, then it's probably not worth it for us to look at that.
Interesting. Okay, so you got there. I was going to ask that question. So for you, so again, you said, hey, we want to make sure it works, but the term "it working" is a 5x or 6x return for you. Is that right?
Depends on the marketing, but yeah, like for Zillow, that's what I was wanting to look for. I wanted to be able to generate enough leads that we could convert and close where we were getting at least a 5 or 6 times return.
And again, I find that interesting because, look, here's what you get. Here's one thing that you can't measure is you have this echo effect, right? You have this imprint when somebody go, Liberty Hill and they get into Zillow or they Google it and Zillow pops up. Every time somebody sees you or even if they don't call you, right, there's this imprint that you leave behind, right? And again, I call it that, it's just an echo effect. How do you feel about that? Again, you can't measure that. You can't, you don't know what kind of ROI you're getting, but there's certainly some value there. Or is there for you?
No, I think there truly is. So on a direct mail marketing campaign, my rate of return is not that. I'm looking for maybe a 2 or 3 times return, especially in a brand new direct mail marketing into a new marketplace, because part of the reason we're sending those mail pieces out is to get brand recognition in that marketplace. It's the same thing if you do a billboard. There's really not a way, unless you have a true call to action on the billboard where you're sending somebody to a very specific website that only comes from that. There's not really a way to track how much that billboard is bringing to your bottom line. But there is that residual effect of you get that market exposure. Direct mail is the same thing. My goal in front-end loading this direct mail campaign that we've done this summer was to get me noticed in the marketplace.
Right.
Then we will back that off, and hopefully over time we will start to see some returns on that, because I think that's part of it. It's the same thing on Zillow. If you're a Zillow user and you're in the marketplaces that we're going to pop up, you will see me time and time again. Now, you might not ever click on a property to where we would get you as the lead, but it may be that you just contact us out of the blue one day because you see us all over Zillow. So I do think there is that residual effect that you can't track to the bottom line.
Yeah, I agree. And I think the other thing too with Zillow, especially, if you think about, again, we talked about the millennials and the boomers and Gen Xers, especially for the millennials, what they want to see is social proof. So, even if you pay, right, and for me, like, if I was in your shoes, $200 a month, like, I would pay that all day long just to even if I don't get anything out of it, I know that, I'm getting that imprint. But millennials want social proof. So even if I see you and you pop up as a premier agent, as a millennial, and I think from even Gen Xers, if you don't have, 15, 20, 30 5-star reviews, like, that's what matters to these guys.
Right.
And I would think if your campaign, if you haven't lobbied to get those 20 or 30, 5-star reviews, that $200 is probably not worth very much, even if you're coming up first.
Correct. So I would tell you, and the Zillow folks coach you as well.
Okay.
So they really push for you to go out and get the reviews, and they push for you to go make sure that all your past sales are showing up, because obviously the more past sales that show up on your profile, the busier it makes you look, the more prevalent it makes you in the marketplace. And if I'm looking at you and you have 5 past sales, and somebody looks at me and I have 45 past sales or 60 past sales, it looks like I would be the person to work with. And then on top of that, if I have a bunch of reviews that they can get in and read and see and all that sort of stuff, it does prove it. And they've pushed us to do that. We just completed a email campaign out to our past clients asking for Zillow reviews, and I was surprised. We had like 10, and we only the first round of emails only went out to about 300 people, and we had like 10 or 12 within the first week, which I thought was pretty decent response. We will continue to ask for those, and on every new client that we close, we'll ask for that, at closing. So it'll be something that just becomes part of what we do moving forward. So we continue to build on that. But
yeah, and I think
that is.
Sorry, not to cut you off at all, Shane, but I think okay. So if you have, I think everybody out there should think like this and do this, and not only get Zillow reviews, but have your clients do Yelp reviews. I mean, any kind of positive review you can get. And I think the key is making it easy for people, right? If you're at closing and your agent is there and they have an iPad and it's all loaded up, and you just slide it over and go, dude, just put your name in, and you know what I mean? Like, that's how you can get those.
Yes. Yep.
So how do you make it easy for people, or you just send out an email and say, hey, like, do me a favor and give me a review?
Yeah. So on the email that we sent out, it actually had a direct link that with instructions that said, hey, we're doing marketing on Zillow. Reviews are a major part of us being successful. We've enjoyed working with you in the past. If you wouldn't mind giving us just a couple of minutes, click this link, and it will take you directly to the feedback. And I mean, you clicked it, it brought it right up. They just go through the questionnaire, and so that was done. I don't have because we're just now getting this in place. We don't have a process in place. I mean, what you just talked about, having your iPad there at closing and having it all up ready to go. I mean, that's perfect, because then they don't mind. They're excellent mood sitting at the closing table, hopefully, and you probably get your best review right there.
Right. Well, and look, I think, so as internet marketers, right, even on my site, right, so you go to my site, superagentslive.com, and the first thing you see is I wrote a 32-page ebook. It's called How to Sell. So what I do, right, because I'm fanatical about building my list, and again, internet marketers call it a bribe, right? You give me your email, I'll give you my book. Do you have any kind of bribe or giveaway, like, hey, if you do, kind of an incentive for people to go and take the time out and give a review if they're not at the closing table?
We haven't. I've actually, out of the reviews that we have gotten, I've written them each a handwritten note and put in a $10 Starbucks card to say thank you.
Yeah.
But we didn't put that bribe up front. We didn't have that up front.
Got it.
This was more of a let me continue to build on the relationship for doing it. But we didn't do that up front. But that's actually a really good idea.
Yeah. So in terms of you're doing all these mail, you're doing all this stuff to attract new buyers and sellers. What are you doing with your past clients to kind of stay top of mind and keep them on the hook there for you?
Yeah, so we do several things, and again, trying to mix in email and direct mail and phone calls. And so we set out at least 6 or 7 emails that will go out to them during the year, normally around some sort of a holiday or time change. We'll send them an email and say, hey, don't forget this weekend, turn your clocks back. And so it's something that we can send out through our CRM very, very easily at no cost.
Yeah.
We do client events, so we're in the process of organizing our pie giveaway right before Thanksgiving, which I know there's quite a few agents that are probably doing that now. But it's the same thing. We will send out an actual postcard announcing, that we're doing this with our past clients. Go to the website to register. In that registration, we do ask for quite a bit of information so we can make sure we have all your current address, emails, phone numbers, things like that. Then we will do probably 2 or 3 email reminders out about that as well to register. That'll have a clickable link in the email, so that's super easy. Just click it; it'll take you straight to the registration page on our website. So we try to do events with our clients to stay in front of them. We will send out. We're doing it about not once a quarter. I think about every 4 months. We're sending out a letter with just a general market update, not specific to their property, but just a general kind of market update, what we're seeing, trends in the marketplace, what is pricing doing, what is inventory like, just to kind of keep them updated. Really within the last 12 to 18 months as our market has changed to more of a seller's market, we've really tried to do that again to possibly generate listing leads. In those letters, we are always asking the question, if you're thinking about selling or know anybody that is, now may be a really great time with what we're seeing in the marketplace. But my overall goal really is just to give them information about the market, because it's interesting if you see one of your past clients or your sphere of influence out. I mean, we run into them all the time at school functions, and what's the one thing that if they know you're in real estate, what's the one thing they ask you? Well, how's the market?
Right. Yep.
Because they always want to know. Well, if we can be proactive in sending those things out, so we really try to touch them anywhere from 12 to 15 times a year. Because like around the pie giveaway thing, we'll send a postcard. We'll send at least 2 emails. Our top 8 clients we will actually personally call, and then the ones that actually, RSVP, come and pick a pie up, we will send a handwritten thank you note, and it was great to see you afterwards. So I can get 5 touches on those people that actually show up, all within a 45 to 60-day time period, which is really important to me to really try to, again, continue to build those relationships.
So your pie, just so I understand, so your pie giveaway, it's literally you just saying, hey, register and you can come and grab a pie. Is that?
Yes. Yep. Register. You have to RSVP by a certain date, which is about a week before the giveaway. We have the pies here at our office the Tuesday before Thanksgiving. They can come anytime. I don't know what the time is. I'd have to find out, but it's probably any time from 1 or 2 o'clock until 6 o'clock. So we can try to catch them as they're picking kids up from school or as they're getting off of work and driving back into town. And all you got to do is register, and we just love to see you and, wish you a happy Thanksgiving. And we get the pies at Costco. They're massive pies for either – it depends on which kind you get. I think the pumpkin pies are like $6 or $7, and the apple pies are like $9. So relatively inexpensive to get that interaction face-to-face. Hey, how's it going? And, just try to rub elbows with them.
So let me ask you, so on that, if you send, now, is this, I forgot, you said, is this all your clients or is this just your A-list clients?
No, all of the clients, the A-list clients we for sure will call.
Okay.
And we'll continue to call down the list as we get closer if we've got the time. But the A-list people we definitely call, but all of our past clients or sphere of influence that we do marketing to will get this invitation. So
so let's say that's 100 people. I know it's way more than 100 people. Let's just say it's 100 people. What kind of percentage? I mean, 80% of people come in, or like what percentage actually takes you up on that offer?
The first year we did it was probably somewhere around 35%, but now we're running somewhere around 50 or 60%. So interesting. But again, even if they don't come, we're still the top of mind awareness because they're still getting the postcard that's kind of like the reserve the date. You can register now, but that goes out 5 weeks ahead or 4 weeks ahead of time, and then they'll get a couple of the emails that kind of remind them. And if they don't, maybe they're leaving on Tuesday morning to go out of town, so they can't come. But we're still trying. The goal is to hit everybody in the database and stay in front of them. Yeah. And then the ones that want to take advantage of it, then you actually get much better interaction with them, and again continue to build that relationship. And we're always asking them. I mean, the market's still doing really good. Have you guys thought about selling, or do you know anybody that maybe an investor that that might be looking in our area? So we're always trying to generate business through those. I
wonder, Shane. I wonder if. So 35. So now you're getting about half of your people responding, and I would imagine, right? Just because you send me that email, I'm like, oh yeah, it's a free pie, whatever. I might show up, I might not. But if you sort of gamed it for me, right? If you made it a game, like, hey, come and get your free pie, and everybody who comes and gets their free pie, and they are automatically enrolled in our iPad mini giveaway or something like that.
Right.
Yeah, I wonder if you could, just by giving away another $400 thing, I wonder if you could increase it from 50 to 80%. And get people excited. Hey man, did you sign up for Shane's, iPad giveaway? I don't know if people talk about that, but
yeah, no, that's actually a great idea.
Man, I'm giving you a bunch.
That's a good idea because our postcard is not to production yet, so we may sit down and visit about that today.
Got it. Okay, cool.
I think you're right because most of our people are local, so they're going to be driving by our office anyways.
Right.
And you're right. I mean, if they had one more thing to potentially win, they might make that effort to stop in, which is what we want.
Yeah, of course. And it just seems to me like if it's just a free thing, and it's not an exclusive thing. Like, that's what I get pumped up about, right? Like, either I can win something, right? There's something else behind that door, or it's an exclusive thing, right? Hey, listen, you are, due to the fact that you are, our one of our top list clients, we're giving you this. You know what I mean? Like, then I'm like, oh, hey, man, I'm special. Yeah, I'll for sure stop in. But if it's just a free giveaway, I'm like, oh,
Right.
I don't know. That's just me.
Right.
So, now, how big is your team, Shane?
So I have 2 buyer's agents and I have 2 admin. And then I've got a part-time bookkeeper that does both my personal books and the company books, but she only works maybe 15 to 20 hours a week.
Oh, man.
So Ginger in my office has been here actually longer than I have. She worked with my father-in-law prior to me even moving here and starting work in the office. And she is really my personal assistant and helps on all the listing side. The other admin person works both closings and then helps process the listings, does a lot of the website maintenance and things like that. And then I've got 2 buyer's agents that rotate leads. One of them is actually a teacher full-time, and then the other one's in my office pretty much every day.
Wow. So does Ginger kind of boss you around because she's been there longer than you?
No. Luckily, she doesn't. No.
She could.
And then my father-in-law still actually works with us as well. He's kind of semi-retired, but he does mostly all commercial transactions. And so if we get a commercial lead, either buyer or seller, we will typically allow him to take that lead because he's very in tune with the commercial activity. He sits on the planning and zoning committee for the city of Liberty Hill, and
wow.
So he does most of the commercial transactions for us.
Man, so it seems like you have a teacher. It seems like you could do a lot of interesting stuff with the schools, and then you have your father-in-law's got the ends on the what's happening in terms of development. Do you do anything tricky with the schools? I mean, it seems like that is such an easy pool to fish from. Yes.
So I'll try to go through as many as I can. You tell me when you're ready to stop. But so we have a moving truck.
Yeah.
And years ago, we allowed the school to use the moving truck for home football games, actually for all football games, to move football equipment. The football field back then was not by the high school, so they'd actually have to physically move all the equipment for the games and things. So we allowed them to use every Friday they could use our moving truck in order to move that. They always parked it right by the front gate, we got great exposure.
Awesome.
But it got me in with the athletic director and the trainer and everything else. So we get every new coach that comes in, they work directly with us because they refer them over to us.
Right.
We've done several things with T-shirts.
Well, hold on a second. So it sounded to me like you used to do that, but you don't do that anymore.
So we don't do that now because the school has grown so big. My moving truck's not big enough to move all the equipment now, and they just built a brand new high school, so the football field is right there. So they don't really have a use for it now.
And the band, like something like the band, couldn't use it.
Yeah, no. Again, the schools are so big that I've only got like a 15-foot truck, so
got it.
Okay. It doesn't. Back then, 10 years ago, when it was much smaller, it was very useful for them. So
okay.
We've done several things with T-shirts. One of the programs in our elementary schools here is the PE department will sell T-shirts to all the kids. They call it the Panther Club because their logo's the Panthers. And basically, if the kid has a Panther T-shirt, they get into the football games free. They get to run across the field right before kickoff. So the kids love it, and it's basically a fundraiser for the PE department to buy additional PE equipment and things like that. And so we went to them one year and said, look, what if we paid for all your T-shirts so you have zero cost in it? The only thing we would want is to put our ad on the back. Very tasteful, just basically our logo, Remax Town and Country, with our phone number and website address. Then you guys sell them, and it's 100% profit. So they did allow us to do that for 1 year. Great exposure, because I'm telling you, these kids, even if it's not Friday, are wearing the shirts.
Yeah.
They're, the Panther, and I mean, you just see them out in the marketplace all over. The next year we offered to do it again. and they said that they couldn't, that they had somebody complain because our ad was on the back, which my assumption is it may have been one of our competitors.
Of course it was. Of course it
had
was.
to wear our advertising on their back to get into the game free. So that year we said, okay, well, we still want to do I still want to get T-shirts into the marketplace. Said, what if we provide one for every person that works for the school district? Would you guys allow us to do that? So we went and had a meeting with the superintendent, said, no strings attached. We just want to give you guys cool shirts to wear on Friday. That's a pretty good undertaking because we had to get all the sizes and make sure everybody got one. But and then on the back, it basically said, RE/MAX Town and Country appreciates Liberty Hill ISD staff. And then it had our logo and things like that. So it did have our ad on the back, but had the cool panther on the front. And we have now done that twice. We don't do it every year, but we have done that twice in the last probably 6 years. So we see those shirts in the marketplace as well, but then the teachers know that we appreciate them because we do.
Yeah.
The school district is a huge draw for people to want to live here because the schools are so good. And so then we get referrals from teachers, and, you know, we do business with teachers and all that sort of thing because they do know that we support the schools. I think I mentioned early on we've done some stuff with the PTO.
Yeah.
We've done some pumpkin giveaways where.
Well, hold on, Shane. Let me cut you off real quick. I'm intrigued by this. So you did the shirts twice, but why are you branding RE/MAX Town and Country instead of, you know, the Shane White team?
Well, really, up until this year, the only agents that I ran through our brokerage was our team. So it was basically one and the same. Now, I will tell you, about 5 years ago, we did start branding the Shane T. White team. We have a separate logo so that I can get that branding out into the marketplace. So as my brokerage grows and we bring on more independent agents outside of our team, our branding will still be there. So if I were to do a T-shirt today, because now we have 2 independent agents that are just working within our brokerage, that branding would be a little bit different. It would be more Shane T. White team.
Yeah. Okay.
But back then it was one and the same. So.
Okay. All right. Fair enough. And so you, where I cut you off, you were talking about what you're doing with the PTO.
Yeah. So we did a pumpkin giveaway where we would go buy, 300 pumpkins or 400 pumpkins, work with the PTO, and say, hey, if you guys want to work this and give these pumpkins away, it'll be on a donation basis. But we want to help support you. We'll pay for it. They'll be in the back of our moving truck. They'll be parked in our parking lot. You guys will just set up and, and they had to do the marketing. So, of course, they send home flyers to every elementary age, kid. Multiple times it was, RE/MAX is sponsoring this and come by for your free pumpkin. We're taking donations. Newspaper would come out and shoot photographs. And, it's just great, market exposure. PTO loves us because we were there supporting them. It didn't cost them anything. And, whether they make $200 or $1,000, it's more than they had.
Right.
And so we have done and looked for those opportunities where we can be involved in the schools. We've done teacher appreciation breakfasts before. So the week before school starts when the teachers have to go, the week before to get ready, we'll pick a day and try to bring in donuts and things like that. And just tell them, we appreciate you, and just try to do little small things that go a long way with not only the people that are involved in the school, but when you get the marketing and things like, free pictures in the newspaper that, have my moving truck in it. I didn't pay for that ad, which the size of the picture in the newspaper could have been a $300 or $400 ad.
Right.
And we're getting it for free. So.
And I think, so look, you can't do this I'm in San Diego, right? Obviously, there's the newspaper is not going to cover this kind of stuff, but in a smaller market, and a lot of people are out there in smaller markets like yours. I mean, they're looking for something to put in the newspaper, they're looking for content. I love this thing. I love this kind of stuff. I also think, again, you have this fabulous with the schools, you're doing stuff with the schools, number one, but you have this teacher inside that's on your team. It seems also like you could do, moving into summertime, put on a water, because kids are obviously going to swim in the summer, right? Do some sort of free water safety class and it seems like there's a lot of newsworthy things you could do.
Correct.
Got it. Okay. So
yeah, and the teacher that works within the school does almost all the school business that works with us. She does exclusively because they know her. She has sold at least 2 employees, or if not 3, properties this year because they know she works for us, and if they're going to do business with us, then they go directly to her because they have an actual personal relationship with her. So
got it. Well, listen, this has been super enjoyable. I just looked at the time here. We got to start wrapping up. Hey, so I'm going to ask you a few of the questions I ask of everybody, and here's the first one. I'm an aspiring agent. I have $25. What book should I go buy today?
I would go buy The Millionaire Real Estate Agent.
Hold on.
I think that
Okay, go ahead. I'll let you talk.
Yep. I think that book is the perfect blueprint on how to set your business up from the beginning. I think a lot of times what people think in getting into real estate is that it's easy, number one, that you just kind of work when you want to. You just put signs up and you get leads and you show houses and you write contracts and that's it. You go through real estate school, you kind of know how to write a contract when you come out, and you might know a little bit about law and agency, but that's about it.
Yeah.
Nobody teaches you how to run a business, how to do a budget, how to potentially look at expanding your business and running it like a business. And I think that book is the perfect blueprint for somebody to read and start implementing from day one.
I agree. And look, it even covers, you can be great at sales and, let's say you know some of the business stuff, and let's say that you're good at sales and you know some marketing. You know what? You don't know how to hire. And that book even covers hiring. I think I agree with you. Everybody in real estate should read that book. Unfortunately, everybody says to read that book. What's another one that you can give us? Or hopefully you can give us.
Yeah, I would tell you, trying to think. There's been so many good books that I've read that have helped me over the years. Some of them just on investing, like Think and Grow Rich.
Oh, of course.
Books like that are just really not necessarily specifically towards real estate, but how to think. And again, it goes back to how do you invest your money, which to me goes back to we track everything. I'm not just going to throw money at the wall and hope it works. So it's more books like that will just teach you that you have to have the mindset of being a business owner. And I will tell you, it is hard. If you've been an employee your entire life and you quit and you're going to go out and be a real estate agent, there's a totally different mindset to being a business owner versus being an employee, and looking at things from creating wealth in your business and your family and your life versus just collecting a paycheck. And I think that book right there is one that just really changes your mindset of what it takes to get there.
I completely agree. It's kind of like, if you've been an employee for 10 or 15 years and then you go out and you're going to be an entrepreneur selling real estate, it's kind of like, those guys who are in the Army and they're told everything, like when to eat, what to eat, and then all of a sudden they get out into the civilian world and they're like, oh, whoa, man, there's way too many choices here. But
right.
Listen, for everybody, if you haven't read Millionaire Real Estate Agent by Gary Keller or Think and Grow Rich by Napoleon Hill, you can get a free copy just using our link, audibletrial.com/superagentslive. Now, here's the last question I ask everybody, and I really am truly intrigued by this question, and it's this. It's, do you have a personal habit that you believe has contributed to your success?
I would tell you when I've been the most successful in my career, and I'm not super consistent at it, but I would tell you, and it goes back to something that's very basic, a to-do list. I'm in a mastermind group with 3 other agents across the country, and we meet via web every Wednesday and hold each other accountable. And one of them about 2 months ago challenged all of us to do a to-do list either at the end of the day or in the evening for your next day. And I will tell you, you're so much more productive if when you start the day you have a plan for the day in place. I tell you, you need to have a business plan in place for every year. Well, you need to have a plan in place for your day. And if you have a to-do list and you either have it prioritized or, at least you have something that you're working towards getting accomplished. Two things for me that it does. Many times when I don't have a to-do list and I get to the end of the day, I feel like I haven't accomplished anything.
Yeah.
Because I've been so crazy all over the board. And if I go back and think about what actually happened and just take note of what I got accomplished, it's like, oh, well, you know what? Today actually was okay. But if you have that to-do list and you've marked off, 7 out of 10 things that you wrote down that you wanted to accomplish, that's pretty successful in our business when you get, just covered up in just the mundane stuff that goes along with the business. So I would tell you, if you can get into a habit of ending every day or taking 5 or 10 minutes in the evening before you go to bed and say, okay, here's my list for tomorrow. Then you wake up, the clarity in your mind is just there that's where we're going to focus on. I would prioritize them. I'd probably take the one you don't want to do the most, and I'd put it first, kind of like eat that frog.
Yeah.
Then I've just found that I'm the most efficient and get the most things accomplished if I do that on a consistent basis.
Yeah, no, I completely agree with you, and the only thing I would add to that is, so you have a plan for every day, and then what I do, I do the same thing. I have a plan for every day, but I also make a list of 3, and that's for the week. Here's the 3 big things that I want to make some progress on. Hey, Shane, thanks for coming on the show. I encourage my audience when they hear people like you and hear these interviews. I encourage my audience to reach out and say thank you. And where can people? And first, look, I want to do it first. Thank you. Thanks for coming on the show. Where can people find you, Shane?
Yeah, and let me tell you, it's been a pleasure being on the show. I think, aside from reading books, which was one of your questions, the most growth that I've ever had in my career is listening to interviews like this back in the Star Power days, or going to those conferences and learning from other top producers. I think this is the most beneficial thing that an agent can invest their time once a month, twice a month, just listening and just picking up those little nuggets. If you pick up 1 or 2 ideas, it's well worth your time.
Absolutely.
You can find us on the web at www.shanetwhiteteam.com. They're more than welcome to call me at my office. They can email me at shanetwhite@remax.net. Any questions I'm an open book. So if there's anything that I can do for any of the listeners or they have questions, just feel free to call me or email me, and I'll be glad to work with you.
Awesome, man. Hey, let's stay in touch. I appreciate you coming on the show.
Absolutely.
See you, bud.
Let's go.